This is unbelievable. Out of all the captain picks in the last 9 game weeks, none of them are blanked. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any future captain picks. First up on the shortlist this game week is Tony with the easiest fixture against Burnley away. Son also puts in a strong case against Fulham away on the back of a 17-point haul. And lastly is the highest scoring player in the whole of FPL this season, Watkins against West Ham away. Whilst Tony has the easiest fixture, Son and Watkins have provided much more than him so far this season. To be fair, it is based on a smaller sample size of 800 minutes, but it's not very promising. Watkins just about has the most promising underlying stats, but only slightly ahead of Son. What is impressive about the non-penalty stats for Watkins is the fact that he gets 1 less point for every goal scored and 1 less point for the XG in the calculations as well. So actually, if you look at the underlying stats from a non-FPL point of view, Watkins has got the more promising stats, but of course it is still FPL, and that's why the weighting's applied. But when you consider penalty duties, Tony and Son benefit from that, and Watkins doesn't, because Douglas Luiz is nailed on pens for Villa. He doesn't get to take any free kicks or corners either, but to be fair, neither does Son. It's Porro and Maddison the main men on the direct free kicks, then on the indirect free kicks and corners, it's those two players and Kulusevski as well. Tony doesn't get to take indirect free kicks or corners either, but he is the main man on direct free kicks at Brentford, and that is ideal. Out of all the 3 players on the shortlist, he's got the highest anytime goal scorer odds this game week. He's also got the joint highest anytime return odds with Son, who's got the highest anytime assist odds. I do like the fact that Tony's odds are weighted heavily on goals, with you getting more points for a goal than you do for an assist in FPL, but to be fair, Son gets the additional point for every goal scored in comparison to Tony, so there's not much between them. Watkins' odds are pretty underwhelming, and so are his points projections as well. He's got the worst on Fantasy Football Fix and FPL Review as well. Son dominates the points projections this game week. He's got the highest overall on Fantasy Football Fix. He's 1.1 ahead of Tony. FPL Review have got it slightly closer, but he's 0.3 ahead. Nevertheless, it is still higher. Tony does have the slightly easier fixture against Burnley though. They've conceded much more goals per 90 minutes than Son's and Watkins' opponents. Something to consider is that the expected numbers are better at projecting the future goals conceded than the actual goals conceded themselves, and as you can see on the screen there's not much between it, but Burnley's goalkeeper Trafford has got one of the worst post-shot XG figures in the whole league, whereas Leno and Areola are on positive figures. Despite there not being much between the Spurs and Villa attacks this season, Spurs have got a better chance of scoring against Fulham, who have got the lowest clean sheet odds, which benefits Son because there's a high chance of him contributing to a goal, whether that's a goal or an assist. And I know that Brentford's attack hasn't been quite as good as those 2 attacks this season. They are playing against one of the worst defences in the league, but still, Burnley have got the highest clean sheet odds out of all 3 opponents on the shortlist. It's worth noting that this video has been recorded before Villa's European fixture, so I'm not sure how many minutes Watkins will play in that one. Either way, if he does feature, he will have less than 3 days worth of rest, and that's not ideal when the other 2 players get roughly a week's worth of recovery. But when you think about it, West Ham also play in Europe, which means Watkins isn't really at a disadvantage. And as you can see by the expected minutes on the screen, all 3 of these players could be considered as 90-minute men, and have not got any concerns over the fitness of any of those players. That's if Watkins doesn't pick up an injury in Villa's European match, but that won't matter anyway, because I am going to captain one of the other 2 players. The player who I think will make it 10 successful captain picks in a row will have an extra point for every goal scored. He's got the clean sheet point potential. He's got the joint best underlying stats. He's on penalty duties. He's the most creative player on the shortlist. He's got the joint best chance of returning. He's got the highest review points projection, the highest fixed points projection, and his opponents have the highest chance of conceding. Of course, I'm going to captain Son. Before you go, I know a lot of people in my position do charge for FPL advice, but I will give it you for free. Leave a comment in the comment section down below with any questions that you've got regarding your FPL team, and I will get back to you and help you for free.